It's almost 11 a.m. It's Monday. I haven't showered in probably a week. I'm not hygienic. I don't have any reason really to be except for survival. That's the only reason to be hygienic. It's not so that, I can maybe have the possibility of meeting a decent young lady my age, and that's not happening. Not happening. There's no there's no advancing my financial situation. Not happening. So that's why people would be hygienic is because there's some pretty ladies out there, and there's maybe some opportunity for that there's some kind of opportunity to improve one's economic freedom, and maybe these are the reasons people are hygienic, and those things don't exist. They really don't. There's a lot of people that believe they do. But anyways, so it's an ongoing challenge to just accept things for what they are, and also balance it out. Like, how much of this is just me being black-pilled and stuff, and how much of it is just the reality? This is all debatable, and you have all the people with all kinds of different opinions that come from all different walks of life. So anyway, yeah. So it's just a daily thing, Every day I wake up thinking, well, how optimistic should I be about meeting a young lady, and finding opportunity to further economic freedom and this and that. But it's always the same, it's always the same. It's like, well, I can kind of acknowledge, I can kind of see the trajectory of everything. So, but whatever, it doesn't matter. See, that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is really just kind of keep beating a dead horse on this thing. So, if people, this is the thing, if people don't care, which they don't, it isn't like I'm speculating this. It's an obvious. You can observe this. There's like empirical evidence is overwhelming that people don't care about the over 1 million displaced homeless Americans. They just don't. Society doesn't care. And so if society wouldn't care that there's like over 1 million, U.S. citizens, homeless citizens, and society doesn't care about that, well, what does a society like that care about? Which again, society doesn't care about the over 1 million homeless people that are, rotting in the streets of abject poverty every day, all day. And society doesn't care about that. Well, what would society care about if not that? What do they care about? Well, they care about $5 billion going to Israel, right? But they don't care about the over 1 million U.S. homeless citizens rotting in abject poverty. Well, what kind of sense does that make? That they don't care about the over 1 million, homeless U.S. citizens, but they do care about $5 billion going to Israel? Doesn't that seem like a contradiction to you? Doesn't that seem really contradictory? Or that they don't care about the over 1 million homeless citizens that are, rotting in the streets of abject poverty, but they do care about the $465 million a year that their taxes go to pay to house feed and clothe illegal aliens in this country. You see how that doesn't make any sense? These two things don't make any sense. So if you live in a society that has over 1 million U.S. homeless citizens that are, that are suffering, abject poverty, that are suffering in the streets of abject poverty, and the society you live doesn't care about that, what do they care about? Freak off parties? Like, where is the moral compass in a society that doesn't care about, over 1 million of its members, rotting in the streets of abject poverty and homelessness? If the society you live doesn't care about that, well, then what is the basis for what they care and don't care about? Like, why would they care about $5 billion going to Israel if it's not to use that money to help the people in this country that are most in need? If they don't care about the people in this country most in need, if the society you live doesn't care about its own people that are suffering and most in need, well, then what is the basis for what that society cares and doesn't care about? I mean, I'm just fleshing out this so-called theory that you can measure a society by how it treats its poor. Like, is that, and so what? And if you've already come to accept this, where you're like, yeah, this society's fucked, well, where do you think the trajectory is going to go from here? Like, say 10 years from now, if living in the society that I'm describing, what do you think is going to happen? So it just doesn't make any sense, But you see, the things that don't make sense are what are dominating the public square of discourse. And but yeah, like, I'm just trying to figure this out. If the society that I live doesn't care about the over 1 million homeless people and citizens of this society, that there's over 1 million of them that are homeless and poor, like they don't have a roof over their head like you do. They don't have a internet, they don't have a refrigerator with food in it, and a bathroom with clean running water, including a shower and a toilet that flushes. They don't have any of these things. So if that society doesn't care about those people, well, then what is it that they do care about? What is it that society does care about? Justice. They care about justice. Is that what it is? Justice. They care about freedom. Is that what it is? Freedom. Don't you see? This is just a joke. It's just a joke. So it's the society that you and I live that doesn't care about the over 1 million citizens that are suffering in the streets of abject homeless poverty in this country. Doesn't care about that, but cares about justice, cares about freedom, cares about what like, what is the big stand? What is the big cause? What is the big purpose? Isn't there some great purpose, some constitutional purpose, or some equality purpose? Like, I don't, You know, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can replace it with something else. Well, they don't care about all those homeless people, but they care about the working class. Well, if they don't care about the homeless, why would you think that they care about the working class? They just want somebody to flip their hamburgers and clean their toilets. So they don't care about the working class or the homeless. So what? The the lower middle class? Well, whenever our people that are so-called leaders that present themselves as leaders of our society, one of the first things they'll do is complain about, one of the first things they'll do is claim how much they care about the middle class. They're going to do all these things for the middle class. So they're not going to do anything for the homeless. They just admit that by omission. They don't even say, well, we're going to do all this shit to help the over 1 million homeless people. Nobody ever says that, you know. And they try to lump working class in with the middle class, the working and middle class. But really, the only reason they care about the working class is because they want somebody to clean their toilets and flip their hamburgers. So they don't really care about the working class. And then they'll claim, it's obvious though that they do care more about the middle class than the working class. Like every politician and so-called leader that presents himself in this society is always the first thing that they're advocating is all the wonderful things that they'll do for the middle class. But how could you believe that they would care about the middle class when they don't even care about the over 1 million homeless people, U.S. citizens? If they don't care about the over 1 million U.S. homeless citizens in this country, why would you believe that they would care for the middle class? And then if you're like, well, no, I don't believe that they care for the middle class. Okay, but so then answer me, why are they always pretending they care for the middle class, but they don't have any they don't even have to pretend. They just obviously don't care about the homeless, the low echelon. Why would they pretend to care? Why wouldn't they be pretending to care about the homeless as well? Because they don't. They don't pretend to care for the homeless like they pretend to care for the middle class. Well, you ever wonder why that is? And you know, I guess one of the common answers would be, well, it's all about divide and conquer. Okay. So the reason that they pretend to care about the middle class but don't even attempt to do anything to show that they care for the lower echelons is all to keep people divided. I mean, that kind of makes some sense, I suppose. Yeah, that can make good sense right there. Yeah. So, but it still doesn't answer the question as why they would pretend to care about the middle class but then they don't have to worry about whether or not they pretend about caring for the low class, the homelessness. They don't even have to worry about that. Like they do have to worry. They do have to make it a point to put up a front that they care for the middle class and somewhat the working class. You know, they'll and their sleight of hand trick by doing that is to lump the working and middle class together. Like, you know, they'll be having some public discussion and then, you know, the working and the middle class, which again immediately excludes those most in need in this country, and pretending like that the people most in need is the working and middle class. But really the only reason they care about the working class is because they want somebody to clean their toilets and flip their hamburgers. And really the only reason they care about the middle class is so that the middle class will fight to defend this system. Because the more they pretend to care about the middle class, the more the middle class will defend this very system. That's all bullshit. Which is, I'm preaching to the choir. You're like, dude, I already know the system is bullshit. Okay. So yeah, so when you see $5 billion go into Israel, and you think, well, that money could be should be go here. Well, why? For the working and middle class? Is that why the money shouldn't go to Israel? Is because it's the working and middle class? Well, that's what the politicians say. The politicians are telling you about how important the working and middle class is, even though the only reason they're saying that is because they want the working class to clean their toilets and flip their hamburgers, and they want the middle class to feel confident about this system, this rigged system that's only rigged in favor of the master class. So they got everybody fooled. So if you're upset about $5 billion going to Israel, is it because that money should go to the working and middle class and continue to ignore the over 1 million homeless people in this? I mean, because if so, you're just the same as all these politicians. You're just getting duped, hook, line, and sinker. You're just swallowing the Jim Jones Kool-Aid. And then you could say, well, no, I care about the homeless too. You know, I think it should be for everyone. Well, that's one of their sleight of hand tricks. Is like Bernie Sanders, for example, is free healthcare for all, free healthcare for all. You know, that's their trick. Is like, we want everything good for everyone, so just free healthcare for all and free ice cream for everybody. But like, the middle class is already doing okay. They already have ice cream in their refrigerator. They've already got, you know, their first aid kit in the bathroom with Band-Aids and peroxide, and they already got their vitamins, their healthcare vitamins stored up in there. The people that need healthcare isn't everybody. It's like some people need it more than others. Like the over 1 million homeless citizens need it more than the working in the middle class. So if they need it the most, and you got politicians whose platform is, we're going to give free everything to everybody. Well, why not start with those most in need? Well, see, that's the reason is because, you know, it's all part of their sleight of hand trick. And does it ever work when they're like, free healthcare for all? Well, no, Bernie didn't even win because everybody saw right through. He's just a liar. He's just a liar. You know, it's just another bullshit thing. You know, logic. If we call on Spock for logic, Spock would say that's illogical. That everybody gets resources for everybody. Well, there are people that need more resources than others. So that's illogical to run on a platform where the only logical platform like that would be like, get the resources to people that need them most first. First things first. There's a logical order. It isn't just we're going to get everything to everybody. Well, what about, like, so the upper class is going to be getting all the goods too? Like, just, we're going to help the upper middle class, the master class, the upper class, the middle class, everybody's going to get it. See, that's just pure illogical. That's just pure. Spock would say that's totally illogical. When you got people that need it way more than other people, and then the platform is we're just gonna make sure everybody gets it, what they need, everybody. That's illogical. Because logically, first things first, the first step in achieving that is getting it to those who need it most. But they never say that. These guys they're never like, we're going to make sure that those most in need are the ones that get their stuff first. No, it's never that. It's always, we're going to make sure that everybody gets it all. And it's always a lie. These people that are saying this, they're just liars that just are trying to work their way up into the master class, you know. They're just pitching the latest lie to further their own agenda. Like, it's only for them. It has nothing to do with you or anyone else. It's only to further their own agenda. So if nobody cares, so if the society we live has 1 million homeless people and nobody really cares, you can't argue that people care, that nobody cares. And that's I think when people try to argue that, they try to say, well, no, people do care. They're just out of fear. They're just, because the truth is scary. When you look at how apathetic the society that you live in is, if you're realistic about how apathetic it is, it's a very serious thing. Like if they don't care about them, then they're not going to care about you. If the society you live in doesn't care about those suffering the most, well, then it's obvious that that same society doesn't give a shit about you at all. And that's scary. It's easier to live in ignorance than it is to acknowledge that truth, right? So if the society you live doesn't care about 1 million homeless people suffering abject poverty, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a tootsie pop? How many millions does it require in order for that society to start to care? If it's not over 1 million, well, how many does it take? Is it 2 million? Like, how many millions before it becomes something that we say, well, that $5 billion that's going to Israel should go to help those people, our people here that are most in need, not Israel. Like, how many millions of homeless people does it take before people will start to look at it? Is it, because it's not over 1 million, so would it be 2 million? 3 million? How many millions before it becomes an issue that is fashionable to discuss in the public square? Because it's not fashionable to discuss it now with over 1 million. So is it 2 million before it becomes fashionable and politically correct and, something popular and trendy? Is it 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million? How many millions before it becomes something that people say, hey, this is an important issue we should be talking about?